happened here. Obviously, they're all just running single file, so whether that's just from damage from before, started smoking on corner entry there, turn one, right front tire flat, into the wall, probably cuts an oil line or something, caused that fire.
He was running up in the top 10. When we talked before about him running just outside the top 10, it was not out of the question, but it's going to be the end of it for Marco.
Tell you what, our newcomers have had a very tough time. We
Yes,
got
they have.
a modified legend, have a mechanical problem. We got,
oh, look at the smoke there, Austin.
Marco Andretti struggling. We got Shane Van Gisbergen out in the first wreck. These guys have not had an easy introduction into super speedway racing. That's a tough lick with the right front going down on corner entry from the bottom lane.
So you mentioned overtime. So they do have one overtime, as you mentioned, in the ARCA Menard series. So what would happen is they get one attempt at it. They'll bring out the white flag and the green flag together, and then the next lap will end the race. Whether that's a caution, the next flag would end the race. So if it's caution, it freezes the field. And then, of course, if it's the checkered flag, we'll have our clean-cut winner.
Talk about an important restart now.
Oh, my other question is, how many laps of caution are we going to have?
Yes, and remember, these drivers in the top 4 right now, all pitted on lap number 25.
So what does Gus Dean do? Does he play Mr. Nice Guy this time around?
Well, I can tell you I have yet to see a restart where the outside lane's hung in there the entire lap. So I think if I'm Jake Finch, decision's really easy. I want to be on the bottom.
Inside, without a doubt.
But the conversation within the team, do you do a teammate restart or not? It's a way of guaranteeing your team a win. There's that. And I feel like if I'm Gus Dean, honestly, it's probably my best chance to win the race too. Because I've yet to see the outside lane really pay dividends. They're really able to string out the field by at least four cars clear on the inside row before the start-finish line. So I think that's probably Gus Dean's best chance to win, is if they do the teammate restart, as backwards as that sounds. But I don't see them getting enough of a push on the outside to make it happen.
Well, there's Billy. He's trying to figure that out right now.
That's a great position to be in as a team owner, but a very difficult one. The whole teammate thing on super speedways is very challenging to navigate, and see someone navigating that at the moment.
I see him stepping up to the 20 box right now to talk to Shannon Rush.
He probably already talked to Kevin Reed Jr. Now he's going to go talk to Shannon.
Can they say, no, I don't like your plan?
Well, I think
they can say that.
It's important to set ground rules, just like it's like being siblings. You got to set ground rules when you work with each other, and I think getting everybody on the same page, and then whether or not if the drivers are in spotters and everyone on track is able to execute it, that's another thing. But it should be interesting to see what they decide.
So we're going to have a good finish here. It's been a fun race so far, but we have more racing to come. We've got the Xfinity Series tomorrow, and then on Sunday, the biggest day in racing, it just got a little bit bigger, as the Grand Marshal will be Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He'll kick off the Daytona 500. Great American Race returns Sunday at 2:30 Eastern. That's only on Fox. And the guy standing to my right, Austin Cindric, great qualifying effort. You will lead the field. You'll start the field 6th in the 3rd row.
That's not bad. It's only 5 more spots over 500 miles. A spot every 100 miles. I'll take it. It's a great opportunity. Biggest race of the year. Really looking forward to it. But looking forward to this restart. See what these guys decide. See what happens. Whether if there's teammate strategies or a lot of aggressive pushes. I mean, this is your time to go, and we've seen a lot of aggressive racing already.
We talk about teammates, and they've always talked about how good a teammate Gus Dean is, but this is Daytona. You know what I mean? I don't
it changes your life. You guys always say that, right?
I think Gus is going to be okay saying, well, I'm going to just push Jake to make sure we finish 1-2, and I don't want him to be. I don't want him to be like that. And Jake, obviously, he's only 18 years old. He's probably going to have a lot of other chances, but this is Daytona. You never know when you're going to get that next chance.
And another point is neither one of them are running full time for the championship. It's all about the race win.
Absolutely.
So have at it, boys.
It's about the trophy.
Okay, so we just showed the clock. It's about 1:25 a.m. in the east. So I asked our stat boys, what's the latest we've raced here? So they said the latest a race ended here was 2:40 a.m. Back in 2015. It was the summer race when Dale Jr. won. So
well, I'm happy to hear we're not breaking any records.
We won't
tonight.
break a record.
Yes, thank you.
I believe that was the last time Hendrick won the Daytona 500 was back in 2014. Is that right, boys? I feel like it's been about 10 years.
Tell you what, all that speedy dry in the middle 1 and 2. I wonder how many more caution laps we're going to have here. We just saw crew chief on the 20 car. He's looking a little worried. Jan was. It was. I don't know where they're at. I don't know the mileage of these cars, but we have gone a very long time since we pitted.
I mean, I think green flag laps, they talk about somewhere between 46 and 48, but obviously they know they can extend that because of the caution laps.
But we've done what?
I mean, we're at 74. We're at 74 right now, 74 laps.
Yeah, the top 4 drivers, they last pitted lap 25.
Yeah, I mean, think about how much time we've been on this broadcast. That's like two hours of driving your car. I mean, that's 55 laps since pit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a ton of laps. And we've obviously had a ton of cautions, but we could see some cars run out of fuel here. It's definitely not over.
About 25 of those laps under caution, and I know that's another thing. A lot of these young drivers, they've never really had to do this before. Never had to try to save fuel. I guarantee you, this is the first time Jake Finch has ever had to try to save any fuel, and I'm sure they talked to him about how to do it. And maybe the 25 caution laps are going to be enough to have them have enough fuel to get to the end here.
Well, the one thing I saw in that graphic there, we've got 2 drivers that last pit on lap 37. That's the 13 car and the 62 car. Those are the first cars that, at least us, who don't have all the data and information in front of us, we know that those guys can make it, as well as Annunziata. So those are the first cars that can make it on fuel and aren't going to be in threat of running out. But even as we sat on board there with LeVar Scott, I'd normally say you're shutting off the car. You're pushing the clutch in, you're shutting the ignition off, and you're using no fuel. And I didn't hear that out of LeVar, so maybe there's not as much of a concern, or obviously a miscommunication from the team if there is a concern on fuel. So certainly interested to see if this plays out in the strategy at all.
That's Andy Jankowiak. Let's see what he's thinking right now, Phil.
Let's see if we can dial him up. Hey, Andy J. Phil Parsons in the Fox booth. You got a copy?
I can hear you.
Great. Well, Austin and Jamie and I were wondering what's your plan here. You're in a great spot right now. You're going to restart second row outside. You're more than likely you're going to have one of the Venturini cars. We're assuming that maybe it might be Gustine. Have you guys talked to them at all?
Nope. I'm just gonna put my foot on the floor, and I'm not lifting until I see God or a checkered flag.
My man. Sounds good. And I know you have a great relationship with the Venturinis. I know when you had trouble last year at Kansas, they jumped in to try to help you. But like you say, every man for himself, right?
I don't think I have a great relationship with anyone with 1 lap to go at Daytona, so we'll see. I'm in a great spot. I love my Class Motorsports team, and what the hell, we got a shot to win this thing at Daytona, so we're going to give it our best.
That would sure make that pizza taste good when you get home, wouldn't it?
Yes, sir.
All right, buddy. Good luck.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate everything you do.
That was phenomenal.
I am not lifting until I see God or a checkered flag. That is the quote of the day. Thank you, Andy J. Looks like we're going to do at least one more lap of cleanup here.
No wonder he gets so many tips.
One to go.
Gets enough tips to pay for his race car. I mean, talk about pizza delivery. You must be pretty quick at that stuff.
Yeah, no doubt.
It looks like they may have the same situation here. Gus Dean is going to be on the inside. Jake Finch took the outside. They certainly executed it well the last time. Looks like Brad Smith is blowing up as he goes through this tri-oval here.
Oh boy.
He's pulled down off the racetrack and is getting out of the way. I don't think that'll cause any issues.
Yeah, but to Phil's point, we got Jake Finch, who chose the outside, which we've already established isn't the preferred lane. So we're doing a teammate restart again. We're giving both of our cars a shot to win. As you see the 48 of Brad Smith, he came by the start-finish line under our booth here smoking. And we got safety vehicles kind of following wherever he ends up.
Yeah, he's well out of the way right now. He's around the end of pit road. Well out of the way.
This affects when we go green.
So you saw the overtime rule once again. It'll be a 1-lap shootout. Next time around, the drivers will receive the white and the green flags. They will have 1 lap to settle the score. And if the caution comes out, that's where the field will be frozen. Otherwise, they'll race around to the checkered flag. Now we're being told they're going to add a lap of caution because of the Brad Smith issue. So obviously he was leaking some fluid.
I want to see sweat on crew chiefs' foreheads right now. Is that a thing? That'll tell us.
Yep, yet another lap.
It's another lap for these drivers that are lined up behind these Venturini cars. It's very obvious what they're going to do. So how do you combat it? Are you able to get locked in with the cars that are behind you and push through and try and generate a run? You kind of know how this is going to play out. You know how many laps are left. You know when the race is going to end. You know how everyone is going to handle the start. So you have the entire playbook in front of you. Each driver's trying to think of that scenario right now as we have extra laps.
Yeah, for Andres Perez right now running third, do you try to get behind Gustine and push him so hard he's not able to lay off the throttle a little bit to let Jake in?
Yeah, I think honestly, as much as we kind of laughed about it and smiled at Andy J's strategy, in this situation is the best strategy. You just drive through the car in front of you and keep as much momentum as possible and hope that it disrupts, the choreography of this teammate restart.
Yeah, they did it perfectly last time. If they can execute that again like they did, then it may be tough to do anything about them getting together. Now, once you go down the backstretch, all bets are off. Maybe you can get together with some other guys and make a run on them.
And there might be some more importance behind the finish of this race and this teammate restart. And we talked about going for the win, but Venturini is going for their 100th win in the ARCA Menard Series, and that's a big milestone for the team. And I'm sure they're pretty poised to make that happen between these two cars.
Let's check in with Heather real quick.
And catching up now with the crew chief of the 2 for Andres Perez, Danny Johnson. Danny, I hear your spotter up there working through a plan with your driver. So what are we going to see him do when we go green?
We're just going to try to see what we can make happen here. Go for the win. That's what we all come here to do. One of the biggest races of the year for us. So we'll get after it here and see if everything falls out the way it needs to be.
Good luck.
Thank you.
I think there's some nerves.
Totally.
A big moment. 3 of the top 6 drivers right now have never raced here before. Jake Finch, the leader, is one of them. Andres Perez in 4th. And Armani Williams in 6th in the 13. So as the drivers come out of turn 4, they will take the green flag and the white flag together. This is ARCA overtime.
One more lap to decide it. One more.
1 lap shootout. We've been here a long time. You all have been watching and listening for a long time. Here it is. Everything on the line. Who will win at Daytona? There they go, side by side, the teammates. They head into turn 1. Jake Finch, Gustine.
They weren't able to do what we expected as far as the teammate restart. It's delayed a lot further, and Gustine has the advantage now as the second place car. And Andres Perez has a big run here. He's trying to get clear. Gustine's getting way too far out in front, and we're going to have a run from the outside as well.
Jake's going to have a run. Now it seizes up a little bit. Little side draft on Andres Perez.
It's going to depend on which lane gets the bigger push.
Oh, no.
Jake Finch goes around and dominated this race, wrecking all over the place at the front of the field. That will end this race. Andres Perez, huge hit on top of another car. Gustine in the 55 will unofficially be the winner of this race, winning the 100th race for Venturini Motorsports, his 3rd career win in the ARCA Menard Series.